Yo, what is going on? The Sports Bag Bros podcast is back at you after a weekend of sports. And of course, you already know the other news, but sports is the diversion from the other news. So we're not going to really talk about what happened over this weekend. As important as it is in the grand scheme of things, nationally or internationally, we'll stick with the sports that keeps us kind of safe for the meantime. I wasn't here last Thursday. Bias came on with Lord. They spit it out for you for over an hour, so you got a chance to hear about that.
Yeah, and we didn't intend to, but we kept it boxing. It was just like one topic led to another, and before you knew it, an hour had gone by. I was like, shit. We ain't talking about nothing but boxing.
That's what you're supposed to do, though. When you have something that you want to talk about, something you're passionate about, this is not something you're reaching for. These are things that you know about, you love, and then you going by our analytics. People love boxing anyway. So they like boxing more than the other sports that we talk about. And hey, when you had to talk about, man, especially when you started off with the thumbnail, Ryan Garcia, we just went from there.
Yeah. So, and for the record, Trav creates all the thumbnails. I give the fingers and I say more curse words, but he does the thumbnails.
Yeah, Ryan Garcia made it very easy to come up with a thumbnail this time around. But yeah, kudos to you and Lord for being able to carry it and tow it for over an hour and keeping it interesting over an hour. Boxing fans, they'll listen to the next thing being said. You know, even when we had our the time that we did our live show and people were watching, it was the Haney and Garcia fight. They all came in and ultimately got 1,300 people viewing that. Yo, boxing fans are engaged fans. Love them or hate them.
Be fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Love them or hate them, disagree or not. They're going to be there for you to keep the conversation going and keep it interesting. So with that being said, we'll keep our conversation going, not just from this weekend, but sports overall. This is supposed to be the dead period of sports where everything is done. Hockey's gone. Baseball's here, going to the All-Star game. Basketball's gone. Football's been gone, but trying to make a comeback. But this is that middle black hole time. If you want to talk Wimbledon, go somewhere else, even though I did watch it. As Djokovic lost yesterday. But let's get into it. The WNBA, once again, this is what they wanted, the attention. And they've been getting the attention, at least from us, throughout the entire, their season. And as it stands right now, it's not Caitlin Clark who's coming to the forefront in conversation this time. It's the one who really wants the attention. It's Angel Reese. Here she goes. And along with her record-breaking double-doubles, there it went. What's up, Angel? What's going on?
Well, here's my thing, because I was looking for stuff on YouTube, something to watch. I'm working from home today, and I couldn't find nothing from ESPN. Nothing on Get Up, nothing on First Take. I had to go to watch the replay of SportsCenter, and all they showed was, some highlights from the game, the Sky versus the Liberty, and they showed Angel Reese get her technical, her fifth foul. She goes to the bench, and then she comes. They fast forward all the way to the last minute to when she gets triple teamed, and they're like, and the Liberty refused to let her get her 2 points.
Yeah.
They didn't show the bricks from point blank range, hitting underneath the backboard twice. They didn't mention shooting 3 for 13. People want to cry about the Liberty. Go ahead and cry. You're just a bitch if you do, because she shot 3 for 13. She missed 10 shots. You gonna cry about that one play with 10 seconds left when they're not even trying to win? They just want to get the double-double. And if you see Angel Reese's reaction when she realized she wasn't going to get it, she was like, oh, fuck it. She just starts walking. She didn't care that they were losing. She didn't care they were going to get the L. She wanted her double-double. If you wanted it that bad, you shouldn't have missed those point-blank layups.
And that's what's been happening most of the season. This is what we've been talking about most of the season. She being at 6'3" and missing the shots, playing forward most of the time, getting the rebounds, being at the right place at the right time. But most times it's because she's doing the wrong thing at the right time and getting the rebound because of it. And you look at the me personality that she's had this is something that the media has not really talked about. But if you go to social media, where sometimes you get the truth, but when it's true, they're going to really pounce on it. You see how she acts. She does not give a damn about whether she wins or loses. And she does care about if she has her stats or if they look good. And she does realize, regardless of what athletes say about, we don't worry about what happens on the outside. We don't look at the press clippings. We don't listen to social media. That's exactly what they do, especially in today's age. And she's part of that generation who's all about me, me, me. And she's worried about the next person saying something about her. And in the midst of a Rookie of the Year candidacy and possibly being the Rookie of the Year herself, she's definitely looking at it. You know what? It may be a case of Caitlin Clark is looking at the same thing. It's just two different personalities going about it differently. And you see it in full display this past game.
To me, Angel Reese, it's almost like smoke and mirrors. Yeah, she has the double-double streak. But her last two games, before the 3 for 13 performance, she had a 5 for 17 performance. She's 8 for her last 30. Come on now. And her shooting percentage is steadily dropping. And you're going to say she's Rookie of the Year? No way, man. No way. I don't care about them double-doubles. I was on record before the WNBA season even started. Double-doubles is the most overrated stat in basketball.
Virtually useless.
Especially, let's look at Angel Reese's double-doubles. Most of them are like 10 points, 13 rebounds. 11 points, 15 rebounds. 11 points, 11 rebounds. Okay, decent numbers, but is that going to get you in the Hall of Fame? You average 11 and 10. Are those Hall of Fame numbers? I'm supposed to be impressed when you're shooting 8 for 30 in your last two games. Your overall percentage is probably below 40%, and the majority of your shots are coming from within the dotted line and closer. I mean, come on now. And that's the Rookie of the Year?
She's just about 40%. She's about 40% right now, but in that previous game against the Liberty, she did shoot 23%, 3 for 13, 23% from the field. And you're talking about, because they're pretty synonymous, whether you want them to be synonymous or not, or whether they deserve to be synonymous, which I don't believe they need to be. The first round pick, the number 1 pick overall versus the number 7 pick overall. I don't see where the correlation is outside of what they had done in college. And Caitlin kind of put her out of the game in the last time they've ever met, put her out of the tournament as well. And you look at them comparing the two, and you look at what Caitlin has done when it comes down to field goal percentage, being a guard, taking more shots, shooting from further out. And then you look at what she's doing, shooting pretty much right by the rim virtually all the time. That's why she's there for the rebounds. And they're either neck and neck, or sometimes Caitlin's ahead, or sometimes she's just ahead by 1% or 2, maybe. And then there's no real comparison to be made. And then these people, the usual tribes members, going out of their way just to say she's MVP or she's Rookie of the Year, and they're not even trying to take it back. They already have made up their mind whether they're going to do mental or verbal gymnastics to get to that point where who was it that I was talking about? Well, I go by the stats, McNutt. I'll go by the stats. I'll go by the record. I don't go by stats. I go by the record. Now they're behind by 2 games against Indiana. Do the rules change? I think they just change because she's not going to vote for her regardless. It's just that all eyes are on them now because they're getting an opportunity for the first time to say as much as they're going to say. More ears are listening, more eyes are looking, and they can't hide from what they say. So what are they going to do? They're going to double down on the nonsense regardless of how bigoted it makes them look because it's coming across that way anyway, and regardless of how ridiculous they look, which they are.
Well, let me just say this about the double-doubles. It is what it is. It's a fact. She has the record for most consecutive double-doubles. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Mm-hmm. However, when you put it in context, the game of basketball is about putting the ball in the hoop, right? And when you're under 10 seconds and you only have 8 points and you're begging for the ball and the game's over because you're down 14 and you happen to get fouled and you go to the line and you make your 2 free throws, you got your double-double. Did you really impact the game, though?
Nope.
Did you have a positive impact on the game? Your 8 points, come on, you got your double-double, okay, but really, I don't know. I'm almost at a loss for words because it seems like double-doubles have become more important than actually being competitive and winning the games. And it's especially putting the ball in the basket, because everybody wants to talk about Caitlin Clark's turnovers, and she does turn the ball over a lot, and her teammates do miss a lot of passes that are right there in their hands. But whatever. If you're going to do that, though, you're going to detract Caitlin Clark for her turnovers. Talk about Angel's atrocious shooting from in the paint.
Absolutely awful. She doesn't look coordinated. She's 6'3". She's taller than virtually everybody else. A lot of times in the positions that she shoots, and she looks horrible doing it. Now, she does have the tenacity, so that's something you really can't teach. You either have it or you don't. She has the tenacity to go after the rebounds. But what they're making her out to be, a more complete player than she really is. You see how she misses these shots, how clumsy she looks while she's going for these shots. She would be one of those people who would miss an open layup by herself on a fast break if she was able to do it. And it just looks so discombobulated and uncoordinated as she's doing it. And they want to make excuses for her and give illegitimate reasons for why she's doing what she's doing. They make it seem like they're trying to put a positive spin on what we're seeing. Don't believe your lying eyes. Believe the narrative we want you to believe, because we already have our agenda, which everyone knows about, what we're trying to hide it, but we're also not trying to be subtle about it.
There used to be jokes about Moses Malone, because he used to get a lot of rebounds, a lot of offensive rebounds, and they say that he would just throw it up and go get it. And sometimes it seemed that way. But Moses would drop 35 and 20, 28 and 15. Not 12 and 10. I mean, Moses was a monster. He was the MVP, I think, twice of the league. Finals MVP, got the sorry-ass Rockets to the finals. Moses was a monster. But I don't – he was not as limited as Angel Reese.
Oh, no way.
I mean, for all the shots Moses missed, I know he was not – he didn't have no 3 for 13 games.
Oh, no.
He did not have no back-to-back 8 for 30 games.
Now, until this season, I have not watched a whole WNBA game until this season. But I've seen pieces and parts of WNBA games over the years. Pieces and parts. I mean, even if that part was 5 seconds while turning away from it, it was, going to another channel. I still watched a little bit here and there, but never a whole game. So I'm not going to act like I'm one of those people. Now, because we are one of those people, probably on occasion because of Caitlin, we get a chance to see the games in its entirety. And then you get a chance to see, are they really that bad overall? Because now more eyes are on them. Now you're getting a little bit more criticism. Is this the way they've been playing all the time? Did we realize that it was this physical, or are they only physical this season because Caitlin is there? Now that all eyes are on them, everything that was done in the dark is now in the light. Have they always been this bad? Has there always been other Angel Reeses out there that we just didn't know about because no one cared? And the people who watched it, well, no one cared about them either. And they didn't care to talk about how bad that basketball was. There were empty stadiums. There were half-filled stadiums. I know they weren't filled up stadiums as they are now, and every indication shows you that, from the all-star votes to just overall attendance.
Right. Now, my friend, he Todd, Toegate, he's the one he's the one that tells me that I don't know nothing about the WNBA, and I don't claim to be an expert. But he tells me it's always been physical. I guess he's been watching for years, even though he's never tried to talk to me about it. I don't know if he's an expert either, but he was trying to tell me that I can't talk about it. I said, I just watched the game. You're telling me I can't talk about a game I just watched?
Just watch.
I can't talk about games last year because I didn't watch any games. I'm with you there. But the game that just ended 15 minutes ago, I can't talk about it. When I watched it from start to end, he's like, well, you don't understand. I said, man, I could talk about something I watched. Hey, come on, man. Don't come at me with stupidity. If you watch something, you can talk about it because you observed it. If you didn't observe it, then you can't talk about it.
Yep. And once again, they're synonymous for whatever reason it should not be known, at least in the WNBA. Maybe that college thing they had going on. This isn't Magic and Bird as they tried to make it out to be when it first came along. This is the Caitlin Clark show, and everything that's happening is because of Caitlin Clark. People don't want to hear it that way. At least the wrong people don't want to hear it that way. The people who are tribal and not just watching basketball to be watching basketball. They have their own agenda. We know what it is.
You mentioned tribes. You mentioned tribes, right?
Yep.
So let me throw this at you, because Paul Pierce had a great point today. He said that because Skip's always talking about Caitlin Clark's turnovers. She has 43 more than the next person. Paul Pierce said, that's all right. She's in great company. Then they showed the top 5 players for all-time turnovers. Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Lisa Leslie. I mean, all-time greats. So Paul Pierce is like, she's in great company. And you know what else? You know who leads the NBA in turnovers? LeBron James. People's GOAT. If you're a LeBron James nut hugger and you're hating on Caitlin Clark because of her turnovers, guess what, dumbass? Your guy's got the most turnovers in history.
Yep. I mean, now I didn't know that part, but now I do. And if you look at some of the other prominent names in the NBA, you look at Luka when he was leading with his turnovers. I mean, I don't know about leading the league, but he was certainly had a high amount of turnovers. Russell Westbrook was the same thing, had the same amount of turnovers, had a whole bunch of turnovers. So that's just what he had. I mean, throughout his entire NBA career, even in his triple-double season, he had turnovers. But these are guards. These are people who are going to have the ball.
Number 2.
Huh? Russell Westbrook number 2?
Yeah.
Now we know. You know what I mean? So you're going to have those turnovers if you handle the ball a lot. And to think about how Caitlin Clark doesn't even handle the ball as much as she probably should handle the ball, still being as effective as she is, she doesn't even have to be the focal point of the scoring, and still the team wins because of her, because she knows how to dish the ball. And even with those passes people can't either hang on to, or if she's errantly just losing the ball, she's still the reason for the season as always, and they're winning because of that. They're ahead of the Chicago Star right now, Sky right now, and they looks like they may be heading to the playoffs if they can keep it up. They beat the Minnesota Lynx, which is a good team. They've already beaten the Liberty, which is a good team. They've had that bad loss against Atlanta, which is against the Mystics, Washington, which is a huge loss because they coming off that Liberty when you expect them to blow them out. But they're moving on. They're playing Dallas next, and Dallas is another one of those bad teams in which they can get another game up on either Chicago or anybody else who's trying to keep them from getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many games they have, but they're going to have a break coming up for the Olympics.
Yep. Yeah, a break, and this is going to be rest. I don't think anyone is going to stay out there the entire time during an all-star game and using their legs and get worn down. I doubt that's going to happen, but they're coming to see, once again, Caitlin Clark. I mean, you can say what you want about all these other players that they're calling stars and people calling them the GOAT. No one knew who their GOATs were before this season. The tree falls in the forest, there's no one to hear it. Doesn't really fall, doesn't make a noise. Well, it wasn't making noise until this season. And the biggest tree happens to be in Indiana. And that's what's going on. And so Caitlin Clark still is the face of the WNBA. You can be as jealous as you want. You can say all the nonsense you want. You can make all the jokes you want, tell how she looks, this and that or the other. All childish, has nothing to do with basketball. She's still doing better than the rest of them financially. And the way her trajectory is going right now, probably until she retires or something catastrophic happens to prevent her from reaching her goal or reaching her full potential. Now, keeping with basketball, Bronny James, why is he still in the news? Because he's playing so poorly? This is the guy why are people surprised that he's not playing well? He's the 55th pick overall in the second round. He should not have even gotten to that point. But here he is, and he's shown why he should not have been picked, not even in the second round. And if not LeBron James' son, he doesn't even go as a free agent.
That's true. And it's just the summer league.
Yeah.
The G League would be that much tougher. And if you're talking about the NBA, it's 10 times tougher. And he's going to have a target on his back. He might have one on him now. But the players in the summer league aren't really good, all that great. You might have, some of the top picks playing. But overall, the competition to fill out the rosters, 90% of those guys are not playing in the league?
Nope.
So how many people are really going to go at him in the summer league?
I mean,
even though he did get dropped, he got dropped on defense once.
See, man,
maybe more than once. I only saw one.
There's a guy who's on YouTube, and we typically don't talk about people's YouTube channel. I mean, not for one reason or another, it just never comes up. I think his channel is The Awful Coach, and he does his play-by-play. This dude knows what he's talking about. I mean, he knows basketball, obviously. And he has been on Bronny James, and what he's saying is completely legit. It just happens to be he's saying it loud, so it makes it seem even worse. and he's just talking about every facet of basketball as he's going about it. And he's not wrong. He's not hustling down here. Hey, there's an opening right there. You decide to take this bad shot instead of hitting the hole, because if they collapse on you, you can kick it out. He's breaking it down completely. This guy knows his basketball, the X's and O's of basketball. And no one else. He's out there with other rookies, and he's just struggling to the 10th degree with these other rookies. And it just kind of reinforces how he should not even be out there to begin with. And I don't think it's a him problem. It's a LeBron problem. And people feel they have to be loyal to LeBron, either with the Lakers organization or the NBA as a whole, for what he has done for them since, well, now MJ has left no long ago. He picked up the reins and at least kept it prominent, and other people kind of grew up around him. That stars are going to be there once he's gone. But Bronny James doesn't come across as a bad guy, never really has. And the pressure that it is for him to succeed, and the people that are criticizing him, and rightfully so, because kid gloves are off. You're a professional player now. You got to be able to deal with the nonsense that's there. You didn't have to declare. You could have stayed at USC or even transferred and try to prove that you belonged in the NBA, or prove that you were at least a serviceable player.
He's 0 for 12 from 3.
Awful.
It was laughable seeing Keyshawn and Paul Pierce trip over themselves, making excuses for him. Oh, he just needs one. He just needs to see one go down, and then he'll start making more. I don't know, man. 0 for 12. I mean, I'd be like, hey, kids, stop shooting. I mean, I'm sure all guys are gonna have a 0 for 4 or 0 for 5 game, but 0 for 12 over a period of games, bruh, you can't shoot.
Man, he can't shoot. He doesn't play defense. He's getting killed on defense.
And then LeBron said, you guys just don't understand. This kid don't give a F. After the games, he goes home and plays video games for hours and hours. Well, maybe that's the problem. Maybe he should be working on his game.
You know what?
Maybe he should give a F.
Since he was in high school and coming up, I've always said that he came across, I don't know this guy. We don't know this guy. We only know what we see, know what's reported. But it never came across as if he loved basketball. I think he likes basketball, and because he's in the household he's in, it's kind of hard not to like basketball. And you have expectations, and people have expectations for you. I don't know what LeBron tells him behind closed doors or wanted him to be that guy. It may just be Bryce after all, because Bryce looks more of the part when he's playing than he did. Bryce looks like he has a little bit more passion when he actually goes out there and tries to dunk than what Bronny did when he was coming into high school. So I can see that it looks like it makes sense. He doesn't have any sense of urgency because there's not a love fest with basketball. He likes it very much. And that's about it. That's not going to get it done at the highest levels, and even, I guess, the second highest levels of the G League or anything else.
And then they gave him a 4-year contract, so he don't even have to fight for his money. You know, he probably feels like he don't have to prove anything.
You know, I don't know. You would laughable to me. They talk about LeBron James and how he spends $1 million on himself in the offseason to kind of prepare himself for upcoming season. He's not the only one. Chris Paul does it. Other players have done it. And you can see that passion. And sometimes you would think that a kid having a chance to see his parent doing that, just knowing what they're doing to be who they are, it would kind of just grows on you automatically because you see it day in and day out. We get a chance to see it just on game day and everything we can get in between. This guy gets to see it all the time, how he prepares, what he does for preparation, mentally, physically, the things that go into becoming the legend that he's now become, like him or not. LeBron's going to be a freaking legend in the NBA, regardless. And this guy, to not have that same seriousness, or at least some of it, he's not showing any of it. And then it shows on this level of basketball because it's different than the WNBA. When you're talking in the WNBA, we see what happened to Caitlin Clark. I don't think I've really seen anyone, especially as a rookie, probably doesn't deserve to be there, become a target against the best players on the planet. That's going to be freaking sick if it gets to that point.
Yeah, I don't see how he can survive on
no way.
NBA court. I just don't see it. I do not see it. He's got a lot to show. He got to show something because he ain't showing me shit.
Oh, he's showing no one. He's not showing anyone anything. He's showing that he doesn't belong. He's showing that you shouldn't have wasted a 55th pick on him as a Laker or organization. Now, and I remember one of the games, JJ Redick is there as a commentator with Doris Breck, I guess, and he's looking at him play. I mean, he has to comment on what's going on. And I'm like, man, that's just a tough act to have to do as act. You acting just doing that. And
I saw a meme earlier today, and it's JJ Redick with a concerned look on his face, and Palinka looking bewildered, and it said Palinka and Redick trying to figure out how they're going to tell LeBron Bronny don't deserve to be on the Lakers.
well, it's too late for that. I mean, it's guaranteed the contract, and I don't know
Yeah,
about
and
other
they could tell him, but LeBron's going to tell them, "Well, how long do you want to be coach, JJ?"
I know, right? Bro, JJ's going to have to go to LeBron anyway. We know who the coach really is, especially a rookie coach. I mean, is this as bad as Steve Nash getting the job with 3 big names in Brooklyn?
You know what's crazy to me? Magic Johnson has not said one word, or not that I've heard.
The football season's coming up. He's in Washington.
I'm just saying, Mr. Laker himself, I know he has some opinions, man. I'm interested to hear what he has to say.
I don't think what he wants to say could be said publicly without ruffling feathers and just destroying chemistry, whatever chemistry is there. I mean, well, speaking of overall chemistry, this is the Olympics are up and upon us in terms of, the Summer Olympics finally coming. The U.S. basketball team is out there. We see how it's comprised. They had a rough outing in the beginning against Canada. They were down 11-1, and then they just did what they did, came back being the best basketball on the planet. I think I heard a story today. I haven't seen the score, but they did just beat Australia. But to me, no surprise, just beating Australia, because I still believe Australia is the second best country in basketball in the world. Canada is making a real good claim because the players are coming from there, but I still think Australia is probably the biggest nemesis and threat for the U.S. team going into the Olympics. Now, I expect the U.S. team to still win, but if anyone's going to go tooth and nail with them, probably Australia would be at the top of my list. And, of course, France has its opportunities in some other Euro countries.
I can't really comment. I don't follow international basketball like that. I can't remember the last time I watched an Olympic basketball game.
The last time I really watched it and cared was the Dream Team in '92. All of that subsequent supposedly Dream Team and all those other teams, you kind of watched them intermittently. I wasn't sitting on the end of the bench watching. In fact, I remember what was the team in 2004? I think it was, might have been 2005. One of those. They came here to Jacksonville. The team came because it was AI. It was Carmelo and LeBron. Carlos Boozer was on that team. They played against the team from Puerto Rico, and they won the game. But it was a lot more competitive than I thought it would have been or should have been. And as it turned out, they ended up going to the Olympics and getting a bronze medal. The American basketball team with pro players got a freaking bronze medal.
Right.
But I remember that, man. We came straight from SEC media days and had a front row seat to watch this game. And I remember seeing Stephen A. when he came. He was there, in the press box afterwards and everything. It was cool. But
so here's a question: with so many international players in the NBA now, do you think it should go back to being amateurs in the Olympics? Because I think that's what the issue was. Guys like the Russians, Sabonis, and those guys, they have been playing for years and years.
Yeah.
And then we send our young college players, and they were overmatched. Well, now you got Jokic, Luka, you got all these international players. And if you go back to amateurs, those guys are no longer playing.
But I also know now that America doesn't want that, because you see how fast and how far everyone has come in basketball. You think our college guys that we had now gotten a chance to see last college basketball season can deal with the fundamentally sound teams of other countries throughout the world? I don't think they're on the same par at all. Skill-wise, yeah. In terms of discipline and having fundamental basketball skills and technique, I doubt it. And that's why you have these players coming from overseas into the NBA, and they're kind of making their splash right away. Before, the NBA was tough and rugged, and they kind of took some rules away to get rid of that physicality so it could invite more European players. Well, the NBA consistently had gotten softer and softer, whereas out there in Europe, and while they're trying to catch it to America, they got tougher and tougher, to the point now where the Americans weren't as tough as the Euros. In the last Olympics, they were complaining in the exhibition games about getting roughed up. Kevin Durant and other players complaining about getting roughed up overseas. They have a tougher game now than the NBA, because the NBA is more about the athlete, more about the scoring, not too much on the fundamentals. And it's exciting basketball that people watch.
Look how they come up too in the U.S. You know, you got AAU, and if they're really, really good, you know, they get things handed to them. They get coddled, and whereas in Europe, you know, they could be in a country where a bomb goes off 3 blocks away. You know,
that's true.
People want to say, "Oh, he came from the projects or he's from the ghetto," or this and that. This dude came from a war zone.
A real war zone.
Same, bro. Not the same.
Not clowns holding sideways guns for looks and not for really killing. These dudes come from real poverty, real just destitute areas in the entire world. I remember talking boxing about Provodnikov. Remember him? And the way he came up. And the guy, I mean, he's just a different kind of man. And the way he grew up and the way he talked about the way he grew up, catching fish with his bare hands in the ice because there is no welfare, there is no this. The government doesn't take care of the people like that. You find what you eat, and you have to really find it and make sure you can eat. He and his mom did that, came up like that. You think people here are going through the same thing? Hell no, especially women here. He and his mom went through that nonsense. In this country, a woman can't really be in any problem because the government is going to be there front and center taking care of them, regardless of all the mistakes they continue to make. They're still going to be there for them. So yeah, there's no comparison between what we can claim is poverty over here and what really is poverty in other countries. Or rough times or hard times. Hard times, really hard times.
I mean, yeah, there are some rough neighborhoods in this country. I'm not trying to downplay that.
Oh, absolutely.
But it doesn't compare to bombs going off.
No way. Bombs. Dude bringing a rocket launcher to school, perhaps. I mean, come on, man. You go to recess, you're playing real war games. That's what's going on. But yeah, man, but going back to the premise of what we were saying, LeBron James' son not looking good in the NBA right now. I don't think he's ever going to look good in the NBA. This is just going to be a field experiment, and that's going to be that. And well, we could close that on the NBA, but what's really going on? I mean, there's been a plethora of things going on, but nothing really to hold your attention, especially after what happened on Saturday with national news and international news with the former president. So kind of like 2 things out of whack. Wimbledon, as I mentioned, was one, but I mean, we're just not tennis people like that. We could talk or speak on some tennis, but we're not going to get down and dirty and tell you about this. Like, we can just go back in the history and start peeling the layers.
Don't speak for me, bro. Don't speak for me. I can't talk about no tennis.
Oh, really? Oh,
no, recent tennis. I mean, I can talk about watching Chris Evert versus Navratilova back in the day.
I can dig that. Yeah, I watched tennis a little bit. That's why I watched yesterday. Come on, I'm not just
McEnroe going off on judges or whatever they call referees. I don't know what they call the dude sitting up there. See, I can't talk about.
Yeah,
I can't talk too much tennis, man.
I know when I was in college, I played tennis, not on the team, but just with someone in our dorm. You know, we had an off-campus dormitory. And this dude was like the biggest nerd ever, wasn't looking athletic or anything, man. I went out there much faster than everything. This dude just calmly beat me every freaking set. But you're talking about getting pissed. I'm like, how's he doing this? It's like he knew all the angles. Just you running over there, he would just boop over there, and you just sliding like, oh crap, unbelievable. But that's tennis is something that we're not going to talk about. Baseball is something that we really don't get a chance to talk about because there's really not a lot of baseball to talk about. At least
baseball is so long, man, and we're
shortening it up
in July. What?
They shorten it up. It's not a long game anymore. The season is long.
I mean, the season is long. Yeah, like we could talk about who's in first place right now, who's chasing them, and come September, it could be 2 different teams. It's just such a long season.
Yeah, because most times after the All-Star break,
at least last year we had Arias flirting with 400 for a couple months, but we don't really even have that. I mean, Ella De La Cruz is still in a lot of bases.
Oh, he's still in bases, yeah. But as far this year, the highest batting average is not even 330, I believe. 340, not even 340, I don't believe this year. It's been pretty hard and tough going at that with the batting average this year. You know, Aaron Judge is still killing home runs and setting records because of the home runs. And the Yankees had that long slide, losing games. They finally got a chance to win some games against the Orioles before the All-Star break. But God, they were horrid before that little bit of a winning streak came into play. Now going into the All-Star break, we have the home run derby. Pete Alonso from the Mets leading the way again. I think he's a 2-time winner, so I guess he's looking for number 3. It's not what it once was. You and I spoke before we came on about the home run derby. It just doesn't have that gleam or that pop to it anymore. And for me, even when Aaron Judge did win and then subsequently had a crappy batting average and season afterwards, that wasn't even exciting anymore. I don't know. What can they do? It's the equivalent of the dunk contest in the NBA. And for people who love baseball, I love baseball, but that just doesn't do it for me. Just doesn't do it.
I don't know if it's the equivalent. I mean, because a good dunk contest, you see a lot of creativity and imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Home run derby is just a guy swinging as hard as he can,
but put that joint out
over and over and over and over again.
500 feet. It looks nice. Now the graphics they have, they show you the speed of the ball and the distance. I mean, yeah, I've always just been, because people are always amused, regardless of what sport you're in, whatever that sport presents, they're always amused with the facet of that particular sport that really gets the players or get the people into it. A home run gets your team into it if you're behind it, even if you're not behind. A dunk in basketball could really change the flow of a game, in football, you get a touchdown, a juggling catch or whatever. That's going to kind of, jump off the people in a football game. So yeah, the baseball equivalent, I think, is probably close to being a home run as equivalent to what the dunk is. The home run happens less frequently than a dunk. A dude can be down by 30, get a dunk, and still give you a mean.
Well, I'm not talking about the acts of a dunk and a home run. I'm saying the dunk contest and the home run contest are completely different.
I don't know. I'm going by the way people cheer and vote for it. The way they cheer.
Well, like I mentioned, there's no creativity or imagination in hitting a home run.
Just admiring the power.
Like good dunk contest, like Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon. You saw a lot of imagination, a lot of creativity. I've never seen no home run derby with that amount of imagination.
Oh, I don't know. Well, other than hitting the ball, I guess people for that sport who've been trained to just admire people like Babe Ruth or Hank Aaron.
Like maybe if they had it back when Eddie Murray was playing, and he hit one left-handed and switch over right-handed, switch back over left-handed.
That would be something.
That would be something. That'd be a lot of imagination right there. But he would never do it. He would never do that.
Eddie Murray was around when they had the home run derby. I think it came in the 70s, wasn't it?
In the 70s?
Yeah, I thought it was in the 70s when home run derby first came about.
I don't remember no home run derbies growing up.
Well, it was. I'm not getting the old timers. They mixed up with home run derby for some reason. I'm thinking it was home run derby.
You probably went to old timers Yankee game or something.
Yeah, I had to look it up. I could have sworn that the home run derby was either in the 70s or even the late 60s, but I could be wrong. And I wouldn't be surprised.
I remember seeing there was a TV show that was called Home Run Derby, but it wasn't part of the All-Star game.
Well, I'll just have to check it out. Oh, maybe not part of the All-Star game. Maybe they did have something out there where they did have a home run derby just to see how far guys can hit the ball. The home run was always looked at as majestic when baseball was the true pastime of America. And, you looked at Babe Ruth or even Willie Mays, even though he didn't, I don't think he's ever had a season over 40 home runs. But not Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, but Willie Mays hitting balls out of the yard back then. So I can see why people would be.
I'm pretty sure he had 40s. I don't think he had any 50s, though. I think
okay. In the 40s? I could have sworn, I'm doing a lot of swearing here. Could have sworn he didn't do that. Could have sworn it wasn't a home run derby. But I'll have to check it out once we get off of here. But anyway, Paul Skenes is the only one who's really worthy of watching this time around. The Ohtani effect, not gone. It's just that he's not pitching and hitting this year, so he doesn't have as much talk going on about him. But Paul Skenes, the rookie from Pittsburgh, the Pirates, no one talked about them since Roberto Clemente. Come on now, let's go on. But he's the one leading as a rookie, starting in the All-Star game. I don't know if this is the first time ever a rookie started, but either way, he deserves it. He has an ERA under 2, and I think he's still undefeated. So, bro, I mean, I didn't see this coming. I'm not going to act like I remember him back in college. Nah. I know he went to Air Force Academy for a little while, then transferred to LSU. LSU puts out players like that. But baseball is one of those sports where if you do well in college, doesn't mean a damn thing in the majors.
The only thing I know about Skenes is I heard on the radio they were comparing this being his rookie season to the all-time greatest rookie seasons of all time on sports radio. And one guy, voice of reason, like, well, we haven't even made it to the All-Star break. Let's pump the brakes. He's got to do it for a full season. But up to this point, they're comparing them to Gretzky and different guys who had incredible rookie seasons. But one guy they didn't mention, Freddie Lynn. He was Rookie of the Year and MVP for the Red Sox. I don't know his numbers, but he was the MVP of the league as a rookie. How do you top that?
Exactly, and I don't even say adjusted for inflation, because now the players are supposed to be much better than what they were back then, which I really don't believe necessarily. When I still look at Joe DiMaggio in 1941 only having 13 strikeouts, and you look at someone like Aaron Judge who has 13 strikeouts on a West Coast swing. You know what I mean? Just going on the West Coast trip, he comes back with 13 strikeouts, and he has a good batting average right now, along with his home runs and his on base percentage and all that. But I don't think I've seen a pitcher like this in turn, and not, the hype at least was different with him. I don't remember hearing hype about him. He just came on the scene and started doing what he's doing. Remember Steven Strasburg, who went to the Washington Nationals, coming out of San Diego State, played for Tony Gwynn, the late Tony Gwynn. I remember when he was in college, and he was like, man, everyone knew who he was. You looked at that 100+ mile an hour fastball, you just knew this guy's going to be great. Then he gets to the majors, and he gets that huge contract, comes to the majors, doesn't necessarily disappoint, but he does what most pitchers this day and age seem to do. He gets the Tommy John, and that seems to be what the case is with all of these pitchers. They're going to get that Tommy John. I think Paul Skenes, not wishing bad luck on him, it seems like that's just what happens. It's almost like a rite of passage to have Tommy John surgery. But today, you get Tommy John surgery, and sometimes you're just as good as you were before you left, maybe a little bit better. It's no longer debilitating as you would have expected, as it happened to Tommy John when he had gotten that surgery years ago. So, yeah, Steven Strasburg, that's the one I think about when I'm thinking right now with this rookie. But he came in with the hoopla, with expectation. I don't know if Paul Skenes was brought in with expectations. He just coming out and doing it.
When I think about rookie pitchers, I think about Doc Gooden.
Oh,
and
Doc.
His all-star performance, he K'd the side. So we'll see what Skenes does.
19 years old, too. Skenes is 22. You know what I mean? So, what do you think about Dontrelle Willis? I mean, was there more to him, or was the freaking delivery everything that he had? Like Louis Tion. I mean, he had a funky delivery.
He pitched he pitched well in some big ball games, man. You got to tip your hat to him.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the delivery. I didn't have to stand at the plate and
that funky. I mean, just from the optics level standpoint, it's like this is the memorable thing about him. Looking at him just wind up.
I can't tell you this. When I was 12 in Little League, I was having a monster season, and we went up in the All-Stars against the lefty pitchers, the first lefty I had faced. And I don't know how long. It must have been 2 years. And he may have been an alien, because it looked strange as hell. It took me 3 at-bats. I got a cheap single. And then the last inning, he threw one right down the middle. I got a hold of it. I went yard. I couldn't believe it. That was like the best hit I ever got. I was like, I got off this crazy lefty. We won like 5-1, whatever. But I'm telling you, he didn't even have a funky delivery. So there could be something to Dontrelle Willis. But I'm telling you, when you only face righties and you see a lefty, man, it's just crazy coming from the other side.
Yeah, you know what? Even in throwing a football, seeing it coming from a lefty is kind of awkward. It's spinning a different way. You don't even think about it until it touches your hands. But yeah, I played a little baseball, so I dealt with a left-handed pitcher before, and it's obviously different than dealing with a righty all the time. There aren't that many lefties out there, and it just comes differently. It's coming from the other side of the plate. You get frozen easily to swinging for things that you start clubbing the ball like that, especially when you're young. Instead of swinging it, you look at that, it's coming. But yeah, man, the size of the pitcher, the left-handed, right-handed, does matter. That's why lefties seem to get more money in the major leagues, even if they're mediocre, because at least they can still get somebody out. Allegedly,
they hang around longer too.
Yeah, they do. And if you're a knuckleballing lefty, that would be even more of an anomaly, man. I can't remember one either. Man, I'll be sick. But yeah, well, that will be the baseball talk for today. And what else has been going on? Well, boxing this week, which I completely forgotten about. Boots Ennis had his fight.
I didn't even know he fought until I started seeing clips on YouTube.
On Wednesday saying, okay, Boots is fighting on Saturday. And it just blew by me because there were so many other things that had happened. And now Boots ends up winning. I think he got a 5th round KO. Well, Boots is doing what Boots is supposed to do. But now Boots needs that big name. And who is that big name going to be? You have these little guys allegedly calling them out. They don't want him. They're more interested in Bud because the money's going to come with Bud.
Maybe Virgil Ortiz.
I would like to see that, but isn't Virgil now 154? He's having his.
Is he?
154
He might be. I don't know.
Remember, I think he passed out from 147 trying to make weight. So it was incumbent upon him. But you know what?
Well, I say that because I saw Boots had mentioned him, and I thought, man, that would be a good one.
Yeah, it would have been good if those guys gotten together a little earlier. But now with Virgil having problems making weight, man, I'd rather see him stay healthy, move up, and have a great career if that's what it's going to be, than to try to make a point.
Ryan Garcia. Let Boots beat the shit out of him and send him away for good.
Man, how about Tio? I mean, since Ryan Garcia is out of the mix, you now have Tio. Tio has struggled in his last fight. I mean, surprised me, man. This guy has the talent to really be on top of his game. He can't have these lulls in action in terms of activity and looking schizophrenic. Good one day, not so good the next.
Right. I don't know, man. Boots is a problem. I don't know if Tio wants that smoke. I don't know.
They say it, but they really want Bud because of the money that comes with Bud. And Bud fight next month. Yeah. So, I mean, Bud fight next month, 154 pounds.
He really don't want Bud. He don't want to see Bud. Come on.
Well, I mean, people want Bud because of the money. The only one who really wants Bud because they want to keep their name and make a name is Boots. He's the only one who wants him. But Boots is a big 147. So if you're a big 147, you're still a young guy, you're kind of going to get, start growing and moving up anyway, you'll be at 154 soon enough. Then it's going to come down to if Bud's going to be around long enough to have to fight him on 154, if Bud doesn't go up to 168 or catch weight to fight Canelo.
Right. Or maybe Spence will fight him.
You know what? I think people just forgot about Spence. I mean, until seeing him at the press conference with Tank and Frank Martin, you just pretty much forgotten about it. You just thought about the beating he had taken and just moved on.
Spence needs to get back out there. I'm sure he wants to make a big splash. If he were to beat Boots, hey, he's back. He's back in business.
Get a tune-up first, man. If I'm him, get a tune-up. Even though he fought better fighters than Boots, we can't even say that. The fighter we know that he definitively fought that was better than Boots beat him. So when that was Bud, so I'm thinking that he needs to just have himself a tune-up just based on what had happened in his last fight and to see if the faculties are there, man, because brain injuries really don't heal. So, and if there is a brain injury, he shouldn't even fight again. But, there'll be some doctor out there that's saying that everything's okay. But that would be a hell of a damn fight between he and Boots. I mean, I wouldn't even call it a changing of the guard.
I mean, it's been a year since he fought Bud, right?
Yeah, last July.
So
but I still think the rust factor, because that would be a built-in excuse if he ends up coming out the box, fighting Boots, catches the L, and if he looks bad doing it, I haven't fought in a year. We already know how these things go in boxing. Get yourself a tune-up against a solid guy, no one great. Just get yourself back in check and see where you are, gauge yourself to see where you're at in your progress, and then go after Boots after that. Boots will be there. He's a young guy. He can stay at that 147, still cut the weight, even if it's a little bit of a problem. Young guys can still cut weight until it becomes a huge problem to where you have to move up, like Diego Corrales did before fighting Floyd. He just had to move up, but he went down, before the money and because of Floyd. But anyways, yeah, but they had Shakur Stevenson, by the way. That last fight he had was a terrible fight. I think we talked about it on last Monday. But then there's some backlash. I guess pop culture with Cam and Mace, they have their podcast, and they just went all in on him. I mean, I think that was cool like that. Apparently not. Jersey boys, New York boys, only get along. But they were calling him out, telling him how boring he is and all of that. And he was saying that Mace is the better rapper, 10 times, a million times better rapper than he is a boxer. God, crazy the way these guys were talking, man. They were going in on him. I mean,
now see, if you want to call him boring, that's one thing. But then to say a stupid ass comment like that, that's just asinine. That's just asinine. If you think Shakur Stevenson can't box, you don't know shit about boxing.
He doesn't like the way he boxes, and then he doesn't know how to put it and articulate how I don't like the way you box. He goes with, you just aren't, you're just boring. Man, I remember when people were saying Floyd was boring, when Floyd was making the most money he could make at that time. when Floyd was really beating people's asses at 130, 135, 140 pounds, he was just excited and you wasn't saying much about him. He wasn't boring. But as a 147 pounder, he was, they could look at him if you're not a boxing purist and say that he was boring from the naked eye. But he wasn't. I think Shakur has a lot of damn talent. There's no doubt about it. I just think the fighter that he had fought was not I don't think the guy ran. I think he threw punches. It's just that he started getting countered and he didn't throw as many punches afterwards. But he was just a difficult guy to kind of figure out. And they're looking more at, he didn't get the knockout, even though he said he was going to knock him out. He did all this talking. That's boxing, man. These are grown men in that freaking ring. This guy doesn't want to get knocked out. You think he wants to come to get knocked out? This is high-level boxing, man. Not the little the guys you fighting on the way up that kind of come in expecting to get knocked out.
I mean, they call Pernell Whitaker boring, but did anybody say, "Oh, I'll go in there, I'll kick his ass"? Like, you ain't kicking Pernell Whitaker's ass.
Yep, you hear it all the time. These people talking that crap. All Floyd Mayweather does is run, but can you get in there and prevent Floyd Mayweather from running? Nah, he can't do it.
Yo, wait! I gotta go in on Tank. He said something about if Chavez was around now, he wouldn't have been 89-0.
Stop already, man. You had me as soon as you mentioned him.
I was like, wait a second. No, if you were in Chavez's era, you wouldn't be undefeated.
Unbelievable.
Come on, man.
Why do these people disrespect the past like that because they didn't get a chance to see him in person?
People want to say he was injured, but he went life and death pretty much with Pitbull Cruz.
Yeah, bro.
Pitbull Cruz. Come on.
He had the injury, but you know what? That's boxing. He either could have called off the fight because he couldn't call off the fight. He could have stopped if the pain was that much, but he didn't. He showed heart in getting it done. You're not messing with whether you're injured or not. You're not going with Chavez at 130 pounds, 135 pounds. You're just not doing it, man. You're just not. These people understand what Chavez was. When you say that kind of nonsense, we lived in it. We've seen what Chavez was about. The build-up, the actual fights, we didn't have to check YouTube to see what kind of a fighter Chavez is. And for young guys to not even respect a fighter like that, talk about someone else. Say that about El Chapo. And then look at what Chavez did El Chapo. But still.
Hey, Chapo could bang, though.
El Chapo.
That'd have been the firefight, him and Tank.
Exactly. It's not going 12.
What?
If those two fought, it's not going 12.
Oh, yeah.
Man, between the two of them, nah, they both bangers, and El Chapo, he just didn't care. I mean, he'll stay there and just bang with you. You know what I mean? And he has some solid skills, man.
I mean, he hit Camacho so hard, he changed his whole
life.
His whole life and his style. He went from I'm gonna come fuck you up to, oh shit, I better stay away. I don't know what this guy got.
Yo, he changed his life. He changed his life like a lottery. Really, man. He's like, yo, bro, you won the lottery, man. You changed your life. You just got the wrong lottery. And he took that shot, man. But to Camacho's credit, man, he's never been knocked out. But he took some severe beatings because Chavez gave him a beating as well, crucified him. Because I believe that was in the front of Ring Magazine. Chavez crucified Camacho or something like that. But come on, man. Tank, I rock with Tank because Tank gives you what you want. He goes out there, takes care of business. He says what he says. I can ignore it, but do what you do. I can't ignore what he does. But talking that nonsense about Chavez, man, that's my dude, man. Along Ali, man, I'm not even saying it because he's my dude. I just saw the guy fight, and I've seen you fight. It'll be a nice fight till Chavez decided it wasn't going to be a nice fight. That's it.
Yeah, that's it, man. I just had to mention that because I saw that quote, and I'm like, this dude, come on, man.
But why did someone ask him, or did he just arbitrarily come up with?
I don't know. I don't know. I just saw you know what? People make shit up too. I could be wrong. I mean, I'm not saying I'm wrong.
It could be I
could have been duped. I might have fallen for it. I don't know.
Let's hope that you were duped, because let's not hope that Tank disrespect fighters like that. Well, he actually doesn't really disrespect fighters, actually. But, let's just hope that he's not, especially a fight like Chavez, man, who's put in his time and became a legend because of that, the whole nine. Hell, you know what? I would like to see freaking two lefties getting together with Camacho and freaking Tank. That would have been a freaking barn burner, because that's before he got chin checked by
before Rosario. Before Rosario,
before Rosario, they fought at 135 there. At 130, I still got Chavez, Camacho's one of my top three of all time at 130.
Yeah, that would be a very interesting fight, because Rolly blitzed him. Garcia tried to blitz him, but they didn't have the skills that Camacho had.
No way.
They didn't have the accuracy that Camacho had. I mean, Camacho coming at him with those rapid fire combinations.
130?
Yeah.
He did get tight because he went 15 rounds. Come on, man. I just, bro, that's another problem for Tech. And Tech is a little bit of a slow starter. Bro, Camacho was a fast starter, and he got faster as the fight went on. And when the opportunity came, he could crack. He could hit.
Man, rest in peace, Macho Camacho. But can you imagine the press conferences? Oh my gosh, it's Macho time. It's Macho time.
Take say whatever the hell he said.
It'd be wild.
Bro, I can only imagine. You get chills just thinking about a fight between those two and how it would have been. Sucks that boxing has errors, man. It just sucks because you can't get what you want. But to think about a fight like that, man, between those two guys and not being biased about it, man, shoot. It's going to be a damn great fight, man. But I still got Camacho up there as one of my top 3 130s of all time, man. And that's interchangeable. He could be from 1 to 3, 3 to 1. And he was that damn good. And you have to see him to know it. I think you have to even have witnessed it to really get a real sense of it. So you have to speak to real boxing people who watched and people who respect the sport and are historians to understand between those two. I mean, we could post it in our group, you know, in the group that we're part of, Slip and Counter Boxing on Facebook, and those guys know what the hell they're talking about. Put that post up there and see if they think about what they think about it, because they'll give you some decent commentary and some reasons why or why not one or the other.
That's true. Got a lot of knowledgeable fans in there.
Yeah, seriously knowledgeable fans, man, and that's why, you know, the quantity isn't what most boxing groups, 8,000, 80,000, all that. They have about 4,000 people in here, but it's a lot of people in there that know what the hell they're talking about. The quality and the lack of just saying nonsense is kept to a minimum. I mean, just
Well, the thing is, when people come with their bullshit, they get booted.
Because, and they should.
Yeah, the admin don't stand for that. We want high level debates.
That's it. When you start calling names because you can't make your point, and you started off not making your point, well, you gotta go. If you start making your point, make a nonsensical point in the beginning, and someone kind of corrects you, you can eat it. But don't think you're gonna say something nonsensical and then defend it with even more nonsense, and then start getting in your feelings and start saying nonsense even more. You'll get booted. Who needs you? You're not adding anything to the conversation.
Check this out. So over the weekend, Bosco had posted something about Angel Reese and whatnot, and someone said that the Sky don't run plays for her, they don't look her way, blah blah blah, and that was right after the 5 for 17 game. So I replied 5 for 17 ? And he said, "Look, I watched the games and I played the games and I know what's going on." And I'm like, "Well, my bad. I didn't know you're the only one that plays the game." But 517 sucks. And then he said something else, and I went back at him. He said, "I'm not going to argue all day." Oh, he mentioned something about Caitlin Clark and her turnovers. I'm like, now we're moving this goalpost. Nobody even mentioned Caitlin Clark. He got so mad he couldn't defend his argument. He just typed "fuck you."
Oh, and really? Was it a tribesman? One of the tribes?
He must have been. I was like, "Oh, you really got me, bro. You really got me," laughing my ass off.
Oh,
he just couldn't defend his stupid ass argument.
See, those are the people you just can't have real conversations with. They're going to ultimately get into their feelings when they can't make a point about what they told themselves they can make a point about, or other people who think like them told them they can make a point on. They get upset. They start the name calling and becoming degenerative, and they got to go, or they'll leave on their own. If you don't leave first, they'll just go commit this internet suicide, I guess, and just get out of there. Well, as it turns out, Jacoby Jones, that's what we'll close this out on, passed away, Baltimore Ravens. I know that's your son's team. 2013, we know about that 109-yard kickoff return for a touchdown in the Super Bowl against the 49ers. Man, I mean, we don't know how he died, but 40 years old.
Yeah, that was crazy when I saw that. And then I'm like, they didn't even say what happened.
No.
So then I did some research, and they're saying he just died peacefully in his sleep. I'm like, damn, that's crazy, man. Rest in peace, Jacoby Jones.
Yeah, that leads me to believe that he probably had a illness that he was just surrounded with family and just passed away peacefully. You know what I mean? If that were the case, man. But a young guy, 40 years old, how often have we been hearing about this since we've started this show in May of 2023? How many condolences, man, with young people that we've been putting out there. I mean, he's not the youngest we've seen him, but he's 40 years old. This is someone we've watched his career. You know, he went to Lane College and, small black historical black college. He went there, did well, came to the NFL, played with the Texans, which was his first team, played with a number of other teams, and then with Baltimore, known for that 109-yarder. Baltimore fans kept shouting that out. Super Bowl, 47? He did his thing, man, and now he's gone. Unbelievable, man. We got an upcoming season now. SEC Media Day has already started. You know, now people are talking about Georgia may not be the best team in the SEC, whereas you have Moreau as the quarterback at Alabama. Do you think he's going to take that next step? He may be the leading Heisman candidate going into next season, but without Saban, let's see what the board does with him. They said Georgia's number 2, even though they have their returning Carson Beck as their starting quarterback. But there's more to be seen as the time goes on. Oklahoma and Texas coming into the SEC this year, the greatest or most disruptive realignment we've seen in the NCAA football in particular.
Yeah,
SEC Media Day in Dallas. They're in Dallas. You know, in Atlanta or Birmingham, they're in Dallas for this. So they're acquiescing to the team or the school with the most money, at least outside of the Ivy League, Texas.
And don't forget the West Coast teams joining the Big Ten this year.
Yep, Oregon and Ohio State. That was a game I wanted to see up there in Alton Stadium, but man, some things have come up in recent memory and presently to where that's probably not going to be likely. But if I can still slide out there, I'll do that. Looking at those ticket prices, I might just stay in here. It's not home. They're shooting up. It's a historic game. Alton Stadium, Ohio State, first time in the Big Ten for Oregon. That's going to be historic. But anyways, that's coming up. Football, the NFL will be coming up as well. In another week and a half, 2 weeks, we're talking about the start of the NFL camps that are coming up. Aaron Rodgers, Achilles, other players coming in, rookies we want to see, the whole 9 yards. So until next week, well, actually this week, I'm thinking today is like Thursday. Today is Monday.
You're taking Thursday off again. Give me a heads up so I can get somebody.
Not this time, man. Man, some people kept me captive more than they should have last Thursday. That's why I couldn't show up. But being it as it is, we'll be back on Thursday, and we know what happens in between that time. When we think there's nothing, there will be something. There will at least be some more SEC to talk about. I mean, media days. Big Ten, I guess, is coming along as well. Big 12 and all of the others. We'll get to talk about it. College football is back on the scene. Maybe a little bit of all-star baseball as well.
You can put in the comments, too, if you want us to talk about something. As long as
we need your help more than anything this time around. As long as it's not
tennis, golf, hockey.
Curling, none of that. Come on. Yep, but until Thursday, we hope that you have had a good time with us. We're going over an hour on this one. So he's biased. I'm Trav, and the Sports Back Bros podcast is going to sign off on this Monday. Until Thursday, deuces.
Adios.